a picture just from the online discussion. It's also very good. And of course, we also will be glad to meet with you in the different places in Baku, in Azerbaiján, and in other European capitals. And today, the point of our discussion is Azerbaijan experience in the formation of Eastern tolerant and secular society. And you know that Azerbaijan is in the Islamic.
Sergey, please ask them to turn off their microphones.
Please don't talk in microphone because
they need to mute all the microphones.
Yeah, and also I asked Alexei Bytkov, who is technical moderator of this discussion, please switch off people and not create too much sound. So now it's better. And those who want to take part, I have a list of discutant and speakers, but also if some of you want to say something, you should wave with your hands or technically send the signal to the technical moderator, who is, I want to say, again, Alexei Bytkov, and we will give you the floor. So it's a technical issue. We suggested that our speeches should be no more than 5 minutes, because our experience show very well that online conference should be more consolidated, more short than offline, because people need to have more concentration if they're doing online. So we hope to finish in 1 hour. So 5 minutes, please pay attention to the schedule. It's technical things, and I'm moving to the sessional. As I already told and repeat, the issue of our online conference, which is a European Azerbaijan conference, that Azerbaijan has experience in the formation of the Eastern tolerant and secular society. We know that Azerbaijan is the leader, is #1 country in Islamic world who create tolerant society where a different point of view is represented, where people can enjoy European style of living, which is very supported by a majority of society. And how Azerbaijan reached this high standard, how Azerbaijan became the leader of Islamic world. And it's the question which we want to discuss, and how we can distribute this Azerbaijan experience to another countries to have more developed standard of living in the different Islamic world, and to have more mutual understanding between European countries and Islamic world. And I think Azerbaijan can play very well role of such kind of moderator between Islamic world and European society. And we know that relation between Christians and Muslims very important now. Sometimes it's come to the conflict, and sometimes this relation can move situation to the dramatic terrorist attack and formation for the and problems for the many people, and formation of the whole zone of insecurity. And how we can use Azerbaijan experience for the Europe and for the Islamic world to make people of the hundreds of millions of people more secure and more prosperous. So it's our issue which we want to discuss. So please give me the floor first to the Janusz Niedzierski, the President of European Council of Democracy and Human Rights from Poland, but more from European Union generally, our friend, and who take part in the different important conferences. Please go ahead, Janusz. 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you, Sergei Markov, for this nice introduction. First, I would like to say that, in fact, our topic, even if it initially may seem very far from the current political situation, is very crucial, because the issue of the the religious tolerance will be crucial if we want to bring closer Europe to the Islamic State. Currently, we are on the edge of the very important process, which we could call the creation of the continental geopolitical bloc. If you would look closer on what is going on in Europe, you could easily see that Europe has no other options than to open and to integrate with the Eastern countries. This was actually the aim of the program, the Eastern Partnership, in which Azerbaijan, among other Eastern countries, is participating. And the main obstacle with this is, of course, the attitude of the Europe, which is mostly Christian, towards Muslim citizens and Muslim countries. Generally, we have two models of integrating people of other religious or other ethnicity inside the society. One is called the melting pot. It's a model in which which is used by so-called liberal Democrats, that we should be deprived of our original religious beliefs or our ethnical heritage, and rewrite our value pattern towards something which will be closer to so-called modern society. This model, I think, is not very good, because it goes toward the way that we will need to forget about our heritage, and I believe that heritage is something valuable that bring a lot of opportunities for Europe, and actually only if we look on Europe as something very pluralistic, and that is mixing different cultures, different nations, then Europe is something unique. But if we will look at it as one unified States, it's nothing really special. So I believe that this model of melting pot is not very good. And the second is called the salad bowl, so that we could live together, believing in different religions and having different ethnical profile, or for this model is much better. But the problem is that in the West, when there were the people tried to use this model, they often get into the trap which is called the ghetto trap, so that we live next to each other, people of other religions, but we are not so open, and we are not communicating properly with each other. And what I saw in Azerbaijan, and for me it is a very valuable experience, that it is not only the tolerance, that but people are still living by their own traditions and heritage. They are Sunni Muslims, they are Shia Muslims, they are Christians, they are Jews. They were not deprived of their heritage, their traditions. They are communicating with each other. They are neighbors, friends, and this is still happening without ghettos. And this is very. And I'm very curious how it would be possible to get this experience to solve some of the problems in Europe. Also, what I saw that. It is this model of tolerance is very fragile. So it is very easy to lose it, as we could see in Nagorno Karabakh. Initially, this part of Caucasus, this part was multicultural. There were people of different ethnicity and different religions living, and now we have ethnical cleansing and in fact very bad situation only because the tolerance was lost. So we should look on this as an example what we should try to avoid. We should not only try to learn from Azerbaijan from its model, but also we should help Azerbaijan to preserve it, because if some external external influences overcome the situation, internal situation in Azerbaijan, things can change very quickly, as we saw in Nagorno Karabakh. So I think we need each other to raise the possibilities of this model of tolerance, and also to preserve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janos. I want to give the floor to the Tural Ganjari, the member of the parliament and head of Azerbaijan community of Nagorno Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. Next will be Roman Gechev, and next will be Azay Guli. Okay, your floor is Tural. Hello? Hello?
Okay, just a second. Now it should be okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, see you now.
Okay, and how you hear me? Okay, the sound is okay, right?
Now the sound is okay, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, dear colleagues. Thank you for the introduction. I represent the parliament, the member of the parliament of the Republic of Azerbaijan, and I am also the head of Azerbaijani population expelled from the Nagorno Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. I would like to say a few few words concerning the topic. As you know, Azerbaijan has been the land of religious tolerance, peaceful coexistence of representatives of different nationalities and religions for centuries. One could find one of the oldest mosques in the world in the ancient city of Shamakhë in Azerbaijan. We have churches dating back to the very first days of Christianity in the city of Shaki in the Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is one of the few places in the world that Muslims and Christians celebrate the same holidays together. We have mosques, churches, synagogues located near each other in different cities. We also preserve the Armenian heritage in our country. For example, preservation of the Armenian church in the center of Baku with thousands of valuable manuscripts in Armenian language is the great example of a multicultural and tolerant situation in Azerbaijan. These ancient multicultural traditions influence contemporary foreign policy of my government. For example, we have a process which is called Baku process, which brought cultural ministers of the member states of the Council of Europe and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is the great example of our multicultural atmosphere that exists not only in Azerbaijan, but we are setting the example for the region, for the world. Today, Baku process is one of the most important instruments of dialogue between Europe and the Muslim world, and it is supported by the United Nations, and we are very grateful for that. Baku process and many other events, initiatives, for example, such as the World Religious Leaders Forum, Baku Humanitarian Forum, Baku Global Forum, prove that our policy has always been dialogue-centered, and we seek to establish dialogue with our partners in different spheres of the for the common betterment, in order to improve and develop the relations. That vision could be observed from the international transportation projects that either launched by the Azerbaijan or Azerbaijani government actively participates. So we have also, unfortunately, we have a very big problem that was mentioned by our colleague, that it has been nearly 30 years that Armenia continues to occupy the Nagorno Karabakh and surrounding districts of Azerbaijan, which is a brutal violation of international law. Our people were subject to ethnic cleansing, aggression, and more than 1 million Azerbaijani IDPs and refugees became homeless because of this occupation. And before occupation, we lived very peacefully together with the Armenian population in the Nagorno Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. We have many different ethnic minorities, different religious groups, but unfortunately after the occupation, all this has ended. But we believe that unjust position taken by the government of Armenia and the values that it promotes are among the main obstacles towards the establishment of the dialogue and the resolution of the conflict. And we still believe in the peaceful coexistence of the both Armenians and Azerbaijani population in the Nagorno Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. But for this purpose, we have to end the occupation and we have to re-establish the destroyed peaceful coexistence that existed before. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Tural. Let me give the floor to the Rumen Gechev, member of the parliament of, from Bulgaria and ex-deputy prime minister of Bulgaria. After him, we expect Azay Guliyev and Ulder Singer. Now, Rumen Gechev, please, your floor.
Rumen Gechev is disconnected. He's connect later.
He lost the connection. So, okay. If so, please, now we're waiting because sometimes internet working not so well in some of the areas, we know very well. And now, so Azay Guliyev. Azay.
Hello.
Hello.
Dear friends, dear colleagues, first of all, let me thank dear Markov for your initiative to bring all of us together on such important issue. And I do appreciate that the level of interest coming from different countries as participants. And also I do appreciate your initiative to talk about the religious freedom and the cultural diversity that has been already established in Azerbaijan. Dear colleagues, as my friend and the colleague Tural Genceli has already spoken about the many aspects of the intercultural learning and the cultural diversity, as well as the freedom of religions that has been enshrined in our constitution. I'd like to talk a bit about the conflict that has already been touched upon by my colleagues, also by our friend from, if I don't mistake, Yankus Nietsit. Sorry for wrong pronunciation, but also Tura has touched upon also this issue because so get to know that the topics has more or less interrelated to each other, but also I think taking into account the participants from different countries as well as the representatives of the mass media, I think it makes a sense to brief about the situation with regards to conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. But before doing that, as you know, that the interreligious relations in our country has been recognized as a model by many countries, by many international communities, as Tural Genceli pointed out that the Baku process has been going on very successfully, and Azerbaijan, the place where we really enjoy bringing to many people, to many confessions together, and of course providing the enabling environment for their friendly coexistence. But sometimes, unfortunately, this value created by the people of Azerbaijan, unfortunately, has been misused or misinterpreted by Armenian political circles saying that Azerbaijanis and Armenians are incompatible, which is totally wrong. But coming to the conflict situation, maybe I don't know whether my colleagues or the media representatives know that when we are talking about Nagorno Karabakh conflict, Armenia-Azerbaijan Nagorno Karabakh conflict, many experts, many politicians, even the decision makers, meant only Nagorno Karabakh, but forgetting about the 7 adjacent districts to Nagorno Karabakh. As a matter of information, I'd like to draw your attention that Nagorno Karabakh region and the 7 adjacent districts have been occupied by Armenia for about 30 years, 3 decades. And if you look at the statistics, you can easily see that the total area of the 7 adjacent districts 3 times more than Nagorno Karabakh region itself. When it comes to population, it is maybe 5 times more than population of Nagorno Karabakh. Why I'm trying to bring this information to your attention that because these 7 districts have nothing to do with the conflicted situation in Nagorno Karabakh. This area have been, as I said, occupied by Armenia, but still it is under the occupation. So, dear friends, I'd like to talk about the latest development in this conflicted situation. Maybe some of you know that last March, 31 of March to 2020, Armenia leadership staged so-called election in occupied region of Azerbaijan in Nagorno Karabakh, despite the unprecedented spread of this pandemic, and also, of course, in gross violation of international legal norms and principles. I'm very happy to inform that these illegal and so-called elections in occupied Nagorno Karabakh region of Azerbaijan have been forcefully rejected by all leading countries as well as international organizations, including the OECD Ministerial co-chairs. Instead of engaging into the substantive dialogue with Azerbaijan, Armenian new leadership, as previous one, continues impediment the overall peace process with all available means trying to keep the status quo for as long as it is possible. Despite the attempts of the Minsk Group co-chairs, as you know that there is a mediation institution called the Minsk Group co-chairs trying to reach some settlement, but unfortunately they failed to achieve something due to the unconcerted behavior of the Armenian side. As an example, just as an example, I'd like to inform that the Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Sergei Lavrov, made a few weeks ago a statement in which he noted that the importance of peaceful settlement of the conflict based on the step-by-step approach, in other words, phased solution, which included the occupation of districts adjacent to Nagorno Karabakh as the one of the steps. Unfortunately, this proposal was rejected by Armenian side, and unfortunately, Armenian side, as I already mentioned, tried to keep the status quo as it is now. But they should understand one thing, that keeping the status quo is so dangerous, even it is impossible to keep it forever. I want to just inform that this status quo could be broken anytime. Unfortunately, Armenian leadership doesn't realize these traits, and this still continues this, I would say, the unconcerted behavior. On the other hand, Armenia holds the widest range of illegal activities in the occupied Azerbaijan territories. We can see the number of illegal economic activities, the facts of distortion of the historical heritage and national Azerbaijani monuments. In this regard, by the way, I want to just emphasize and appreciate the recent joint statement dated on 10 June 2020 made by the head of the European Parliament delegation for South Caucasus, as well as standing reporter for Armenia and Azerbaijan, concerning the illegal construction of the third highway connecting Armenia with Nagorno Karabakh region of Azerbaijan. As you know, that Armenia starts to build, to construct a way passing through its territory, going to the Azerbaijani's occupied area, which of course runs against the international legal norms. Of course, I'd like to appreciate the European Parliament's position, and I think it is a good example for other international community to take these steps and to follow this good practice. And of course, we as Azerbaijan is very, very much hoping that the conflict will be resolved on the sovereignty and of Azerbaijan's international borders. Dear colleagues, on my last note, if you allow me, I'd like to bring the attention of our participants to the very, very humanitarian matter, humanitarian issue, which is related to our two hostages, Dirgan Maskarov and Shahbaz Guliyev, who are illegally kept hostages by Armenia for about years in the occupied areas. Maybe some of you don't know that Azerbaijan raised an issue and put the initiative to exchange of all hostages from each side based on the principles all for all. Unfortunately, this humanitarian initiative and a very kind, I would say, proposal made by Baku, official Baku, again has been rejected and ignored by Armenian side. Maybe you colleagues, the members of parliament or members of the or representatives of the mass media and the civil society, it makes sense to bring this issue at the center of the public opinion of your respective countries, so that to contribute to the release of these innocent civilians from Armenian captivities. Dear friends, dear Sergei, of course, at the end, again, thank you. I found this format much interesting, despite the fact that we are few here, but anyway, having such a discussions at the level of the experts, of course, brings added values to the topics we discussed. I wish all the best. If any of our participants and the mass media representatives would have the question, I'm ready to answer any question they may ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Azai, for the profound report about problems which Azerbaijan society faced. I want to ask Rumen Gachev, is it's okay with his connection? Okay? Rumen, is it okay?
Technically, I understand, but not. Do you copy?
Hello? Hello? Rumen?
Do you send me? Do you see my speech? We have problems.
Not well. Not well. Not well.
But unfortunately.
Connection is quite bad.
See you. I do not well the speech. You know, the fake thing is. I will, if you send recording meeting, I will look at this again.
So next time. Okay, I want to.
It's very bad internet. Maybe reconnect.
Yeah. Okay, we're waiting. Maybe it will be okay again. So now let me give the floor to the Ulrich Singer, the member of the Bavarian Landtag, so parliament of the mostly rich province of the Germany, which is mostly rich country in the European Union. So Ulrich, is it okay?
Yes, connection is good. I can hear you. Excellent. Thank you for introducing me. Bavaria is especially the most beautiful place in the world, but I think all of you would say this for the region that you are from. Talking about tolerance, it's interesting. we have been a very homogeneous Christian society for centuries, and this is changing in the last years. But even when we have been a Christian society, we had a period of war in Europe, and you know all about the 30 years of war in the 1600s. So there have been 30 years of war with millions of deaths in Europe, and all because of they've been fighting between Protestants and Catholics. So that was one of the worst wars in human society, in human history, just between the same religion. And so I really hope forward for a good and tolerant society, but tolerance is not a one-way road. We can, right now we are experiencing a lot of mass migration to Germany, which is very often in a legal way, and people are coming here to work and to support our society. And we also have problems with illegal migration, with illegal mass migration, and there are coming persons from different religions to Germany, which basically is not a problem, because I think Germany is a very tolerant society. But what about persons who are extremists, who are maybe fundamentalists, who are terrorists, also coming to Germany? So that is a problem when intolerant people are coming to a tolerant society. And that's something we have also to watch out for, conflicts which are well, coming up because of this change in our society, which is going on very fast. We are changing to a multicultural society, multi-ethnic society, multi-religious society, but also what we are experiencing is sexual diversity. And as I've said before, tolerance is a good thing. And I think we are very tolerant in Germany to all kind of, for example, sexual orientations or even religions and anything like that. But I think there has to be a point where the tolerance of society should not be stressed too much. As I've said, as I've mentioned, extremism or fundamentalism. I think the change in society should not be so hard that in the end, the tolerant person has to change his way of living as well. So I think if different religions are coming to Germany, they should not change the way of the people who are already living here. That would be very important. So we need tolerance from everybody. So we are tolerant, but people who are coming here should be tolerant as well. That's what I would like to say to you.
Yeah, very good point. That if tolerance only one side, it will come to the conflict anyway, and the tolerance should be distributed from different sides, and this is how the good communication between different values could be built. Thank you. Now I want to give the floor to the Kamal Jafarov, member of the parliament, deputy head of the Azerbaijan delegation of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. After him is Katarzyna Uberan, then Amina Agazadeh, then Vavrinchik Shuk. So now Kamal Jafarov, please.
Hello to everybody. Right now we have very sunny Baku right now, and the temperature is very high. And I would like to give my warm regards to all of you, to all the conference participants. For me, it's important to understand what is multiculturalism and why we need this. And when I tried to define this, I found out that multiculturalism is, for us, is the way how we live. We are proud of our ancient history, and one of the oldest mosques in the world is situated in ancient Shabakh, Jummeh Masjid. One of the oldest churches in the Caucasus is situated in our ancient city Shaki, the Kish. We also preserve Armenian church in the very center of Baku. On contrary, Armenian government deliberately destroys Azerbaijani monuments in our occupied territories. Our history is a history of cultural diversity, and today, based on that historical heritage, Azerbaijan demonstrates to the world that intercultural dialogue is only way how to bring the countries closer and how to establish more bridges between the representatives of different religions and civilizations. Azerbaijan is a place where for centuries, representatives of different religions, ethnic groups have lived, created, and communicated together. Today, Azerbaijan's rapid development is also based on this cultural heritage and also is driven by the solidarity which all representatives of our society demonstrate. We are proud of our history, we are proud of our historical monuments, which also demonstrate that for centuries, representatives of different religions have lived and created in Azerbaijan. Multiculturalism is also one of the important elements of our policy, and we are promoting these values. We are demonstrating that multiculturalism has a great future. The fact that 2016 was declared the year of multiculturalism in Azerbaijan demonstrates that we want to attract attention of the world to this important idea. 2017 was announced the year of Islamic solidarity. That was also a symbolic step, demonstrating our historical heritage, our roots, and our openness to the world. And I think these tendencies, if they prevail globally, will make our world safer and more predictable and more peaceful. Furthermore, numerous international events organized in Azerbaijan clearly shows that we are all trying to promote the values of multiculturalism. And World Forum on International Dialogue is one of the important international events globally, and of course for our country, but at the same time, Azerbaijan during the last year hosted numerous international events, such as World Religious Leaders Forum, Traditional Baku Humanitarian Forum, Baku Global Forum. So my colleagues has already spoken about this issue. So therefore, I would like to get more on the point of dialogue. Azerbaijan is one of the few countries which is the member of Organization of Islamic Cooperation and European Institution, is playing its positive role in the establishment of contacts, in providing opportunities for dialogue, and the dialogue what we need. We need dialogue in issues related to culture, in issues related to interreligious relations. We need dialogue in all issues, political dialogue, on economic cooperation, on issues related to security, and the name of the forum is a dialogue. So that's what we present to the world, and that's what we get very broad international support. On foreign policy track, Azerbaijan is a reliable partner to many countries. We are active members of Islamic Cooperation Organization, and we have very close ties with the European Union, and with 9 members of the EU. Azerbaijan adopted documents on strategic partnership. Baku process is our contribution to establishing bridges between Europe and the Muslim world. In other words, our foreign policy agenda is based on cooperation, on strengths in partnership, and on mutual benefits. However, one of the main problems we are facing for many years is Armenian occupation. For more than 25 years, Armenia continues to occupy our historical land, Nagorного Karabakh, and 7 other districts of Azerbaijan. Our people were subject to ethnic cleansing, more than 1 million refugees became homeless, and the OECD sent a fact-finding mission to occupy territories. And their report clearly shows that all our historical heritage, all our historical religious monuments are destroyed. And despite that, we still preserve Armenian church to the very center of Baku. United Nations Security Council adopted 4 resolutions demanding immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian troops from our territories, and these resolutions remain on paper. So this one of the indicators that sometimes resolutions of Security Council are not implemented for so many years, and there is no mechanism of implementation, or if there is a mechanism, it's not applied, and thus Azerbaijani lands are still under occupation. Numerous international organizations like the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Non-Aligned Movement, OEC, Council of Europe, and others adopted similar decisions and resolutions with respect to territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. And territorial integrity of Azerbaijan is recognized by whole world and must be restored, and conflict must be resolved based on international law norms. Despite this huge problem and humanitarian catastrophe, Azerbaijan has managed to transform into a modern country with very active foreign policy and with economic policy, which allowed us to improve largely the living standards of our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Kemal, for your for your analysis of those trends which Azerbaijan and general society is going. I want to give the floor to the Katarzyna Uberan, the member of the parliament from the Poland. Next is Amina Agazadeh. Okay.
Hello. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear quite well.
Okay, great. Like in Poland, as probably you know, the religious freedom, the same as the secular state, is guaranteed by our constitution from 1997, and also by many international instruments incorporated in the Polish law. Also, we are part of the European Union, and also many of the European Universal Human Rights documents. Nonetheless, Poland is mostly Catholic, and we say it's about 90% or over 90% of people in Poland are Catholic, and we do see a huge problem with the church that interferes with politics. We have the government that we have at the moment many times is criticized by its cooperation with the church. They take part in many public. I mean, for example, the priest and the members of the church, they are part of our public affairs and take part in public events. In the same, our presidents or prime minister take part in Sunday Mass and do it publicly, because the public events are always connected with the religion. And there are many voices saying that it's against of this regular secular state that our constitution guarantees. There are also some other issues that arise because, for example, we have this controversial bill that says about offense of the religious feelings, and many times people are convicted because some, of course, they do not go to prison, but they are fined when somebody feels that his religious feelings were offended. Yes, as a Polish people, we think about us as a tolerant people, but we have a huge history about of course, diverse cultural country. We were a country with many nations living there, but it was in the past. We still like to think about us as a tolerant people, but in general, nowadays, when there is not so many people from outside, you could see we could see that you could see the tension between the Polish people, the Catholics, and other religions. That happens. We have the episodes that should not happen, of vandalizing, for example, Jewish properties or cemeteries. We have those cases of some Islamophobia, even the politicians saying openly that they are Islamophobic and do not see there's anything wrong with that. So I think it's a big issue. The tolerance right now in Poland is a big issue, also with the immigrants, and because the government it's using those arguments in the political campaign. The arguments that religion is used in the political campaign, and the same in churches. The priests are preaching about the politics. And this was the thing I liked when I visited Azerbaijan, and we also met. We were guests in the committee for religious affairs with the president of the committee for the religious affairs. I was impressed how firm he was about the secularity of the state, how Azerbaijan like to takes care. I mean, really wants the priest to be preaching just about the religion. That he wants the religion was in mosques and in churches, not in the chamber, not in the governmental buildings. And like in Poland, I find we have the problem with it, because even in you could see the cross that is the symbol of the Catholic religion. You could find them in the schools. You can find them even in the chamber of the parliament in Sejm. And there is a lot of arguing about it. The same, we have the religion at schools, and it's like, and I would say it would be fine if it was the science of religion. If it was teaching about different religions, but no, we'd have a Catholic religion taught at school. And the same, I think we have the long way to go. I mean, that's why I hope it won't be that long, but I think there has to be work done for Polish society to show and to be and to honestly to tell that we are the tolerant and the country and the nation that different religions coexist with the respect. And I think that's something that we could learn from Azerbaijan in that matter. Yes, I think it will be in general. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Katarzyna, for the interesting analysis of how these issues of tolerance is developing in the modern Polish society in general European and global context. Now, let me give the floor to the Amina Agazadeh, member of the Parliament of Azerbaijan, and next, Yevgeny Suk. Amina.
Thank you, Mr. Markov. Hello, everybody. I want to thank you, Mr. Markov, for organizing such an important conference. As you know, Azerbaijan, located at the crossroads of various civilizations throughout many centuries, has become famous as a country where was formed the atmosphere of national cultural diversity, where representatives of various nationalities and faiths live in the atmosphere of peace and welfare, mutual understanding and dialogue. The multiculturalism and tolerance historically inherent in the life of Azerbaijanis today became an integral feature of everyday life of each citizen of the Azerbaijani state, irrespective of national identity, language, and religions. Not only today's tolerant manner of life of our people, but also the literature and art, scientific and philosophical, political and legal sources and documents created by these people are the evidence to the rich multicultural past of Azerbaijani people. Thanks to the national cultural diversity existing in Azerbaijan, the atmosphere of ethnic and religious tolerance, our motherland is known as the multinational and multi-religious country, a space of global intercultural dialogue. Today, the state policy, which is successfully pursued in the Republic of Azerbaijan, aims at preserving this cultural, linguistical, and ethnical diversity, necessity and environment of the special care and enrichment of the historical experience in the sphere of multiculturalism, strengthening of promotion of the unique success achieved in the Azerbaijan society in this direction, which is saved up for centuries on the international arena. Today, Azerbaijan playing a bridge role between the two different civilizations raises its authority both in the Eastern and Western hemispheres. In our country, multiculturalism has already turned into a lifestyle which doesn't have alternative. The policy of multiculturalism, which is carried out now in Azerbaijan, is a bright example of commitment of our state to the principle of tolerance. And I want to finish my speech with words of Azerbaijan's national leader Heydar Aliyev, who say a country becomes more powerful when it unites more nations, because every single one of them contributes universal cultures and civilization. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, dear Amina. And it's very important also to stress that in Azerbaijan, the role of women are also very good and very high compared with another Muslim countries. Of course, here is Mihriban Aliyeva, a very good example of this, and he is giving the standard and the cultural and social standard. But also generally, women are represented in the different areas in social, cultural, political, and economic life in Azerbaijan much more than in any other Islamic countries. And also, I think this should be probably the important issue for our one of our next Azerbaijan European discussion. And we hope to see you again. Now, let me to give the floor to the Vavrani Suk, the journalist from the Sweden, who represents the newspaper, the Nyhetsbilden. Vavrani, please, your floor.
Thank you very much. I am very grateful to be invited. You can call me Vavra for short, and my newspaper, it's Nyhetsbilden, it's New Times in English. Mm-hmm. So I've been listening to the conference, and as a journalist, I usually listen more, but actually listening to your initiated speeches, I came to some questions, and it was very interesting visiting Azerbaijan, very enlightening. I didn't know what to expect, and I was surprised about the tolerant society I could see. Well, as Mr. Yafarov said, what is multicultural society? I think that is really the core of the question. I will make a very brief speech, but it will end in a question for Mr. Guliyev. So my view is that every society needs a set of common rules. You can call that culture, and in that sense, no society can be truly multicultural, because these sets of rules must not collide, otherwise you will have eternal conflict. I mean, there are Islamic countries, there are Christian countries, there are liberal countries. Liberality is also a kind of religion, if you may. So you can be tolerant to others, but still stand on your set of values. For example, Islamic countries can accept Christians or Jewish people or other beliefs and cultures, but still on their terms. The same in liberal countries. If you, for example, come to America, you should obey the liberal rules, the set of values that they have, if you want to live there without conflict. And we can see that liberal countries like France or the United States, they are often celebrated as a true multicultural, where multiculturalism works and where it exists. But you can see it's not that easy. In America, I'm sure you all know, you have the highest population in prisons per capita by far in the world. And France, with its ethnical ghettos, is also not really working, because in these ethnical enclaves, you have people who desire some other structure, some other values in society. They want to change France's society. And I can also see that many people who come to Europe don't want to adapt to the set of rules that are already here. Even if we are tolerant, as Ulrich said, they want to change the society and change it according to their set of rules, what they feel is right. I can say that, for example, the Syriac diaspora, you know, in Sweden here we have a large number of Syriac people, Chaldaic people, which are Syriac Orthodox people from the Middle East, Turkey, Syria, etc. And they say that Sweden is their capital in the world. And they adapt quite well. They are people who have a lot of shops and barbershops and restaurants, and they are very active in business life. But still, you can see that when these people come into court systems or into the political system, they change it bit by bit to their kind of true culture. So I would like to ask Mr. Guliev, what is your basic culture? What is your fundamental set of values that is common to all these religions who live in your society? To my mind, every multicultural society is created by a conflict, in struggle. It has been born through pain, and it takes time. Mr. Jafarov, you said you have a common history, and that helps you to keep the society together. Do you think that it is possible to create multicultural societies that really work without this history, or are we somewhere in this painful path to a functioning society with different cultures, maybe hundreds of years from now? What do you think? Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Vavra. So, two questions to our colleagues. One to Azay Guliev. The question is, as I understand, what is the mostly common, the core of values which combined different religious, ethnical, and cultural tradition in Azerbaijan, and which help them to find the place for dialogue and compromise. Dear Azay?
Mr. Guliev left the conference.
Azay Guliev left he already, because he's vice president of the probably Azerbaijan delegation to OSCE. And
maybe Mr. Jafarov can answer instead.
Yes, and Kamal Jafarov is here. Kamal
yes,
Jafarov?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Could you also repeat the second question, please?
Yeah, Kamal, let me repeat the question, which is Vavra is asked to you. He asked, first of all, that you mentioned that different cultural and religious tradition has common history in Azerbaijan. And do you think that it's possible to build the tolerant society if such a tradition has no such of the period of the common history? Because it's a very important issue for the European countries of the European Union, because if, for example, in Azerbaijan, Christians community, Muslim community, and another communities, they live for the centuries, and step by step used to live together. But in European countries, now face the problem that new communities quickly formed, and they have no common history with their societies and governmental and political systems and social systems which they now live in.
Thank you very much for the question. And I think that this is the most important and most interesting part of this conference, because as you know, that because of the corona pandemic, we are now doing all our work through this Zoom conferences, and this one of this. And I think in general, this is not about the topic. In general, one of the most important part and the aim of the conference is within this time, you know, because everybody finish its speech and then we get the main points and why we do this conference and what we get away from this conference. And my colleague Vavrinek asked very important and conceptual questions, and I think we need to have very high theoretical background to answer these conceptual and fundamental questions. As you know, we are right now talking about based on the history, that the history that we live together, and then the fact that we live together, and then the Azerbaijan geographical location, and the communication between the people, between different ethnic group, religious group. We are talking based on the facts, based on the history. And to your question, I don't know how to change the history, because for this we need to have to history, some facts, some data to speak on that. Otherwise, I think what I get from your question is that if we think out that we took out all the data, you know, we took out that we imagine a place that 3 religions come together, 3 different ethnics come together, and how they should live in together. That's what your question, yeah? Am I right?
Yes. Yeah, we can see that.
More on your question? Could you elaborate your question more? You know, like, because what I get sense that you said that we took all the preferences, historical preferences. Okay, we don't live together. Imagine there is a new country, and then there are 3 religions live together, and then there are different ethnic groups, and how what core values or what principle they should follow that they should live in this multicultural dimension.
Yes, my point is, the reason why I ask this question is that I haven't seen a country that just turns multicultural without problem. It's always a struggle, a conflict through hundreds of years until you finally reach some kind of common understanding where everybody needs to accept compromises. We can see that. I give you an example of the Syriac people in Sweden, which are fairly well integrated. They are Christian, although they are Syriac Orthodox. But you can still see when they enter the court systems, when they enter the political systems, they tend to change it according to their set of values. For example, about what is where should loyalty be with someone who serves for the state? Should it be with his clan or with the state he's paid by? So these are important questions, and every society works differently. And to me, it's just a long struggle before you can reach this equilibrium. So you have your history. You have already made this struggle, which makes you be in a good spot to say what works or not, but there should be a common.
I got your question. From my point of view, it's more practical, because it depends how you deal with the conflict. It depends how you accept. You said the example of Syrian example. It depends on how you welcome them. You know, it depends the initial welcome, initial interaction with them. So if they come with an aggression within inside, and they see that how good you are, and they try to accommodate to you, and of course there is always conflict. Could arise, you know, even when we are going to school, university, we have classmates, university mate, even the parliament, you may always have the conflict. Even within the family, the husband and wife, they could also have conflict. It doesn't matter if you live together or if you share same value. In democratic societies in every country, it's normal to have the conflict. And I think in the beginning is that how you deal with this conflict. So then, in order to deal with this conflict, I think the nations, I don't know, the groups, ethnic groups, or you mentioned clans, when they come together, they should have that mutual respect. You know, initial phase, they should have mutual respect, they should have understanding, they should listen each other. Doesn't matter what force they then bring to the Syrians to the Europe, or doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters that how you deal with this conflict. And of course, then the second question arises, as you, rightfully mentioned that. Let's imagine they come, and they settle, and now they are part of community. And then when they are part of the political community, and they try to defend the interest of the clan or group they belong, and it's I think for a sin problem, and I don't have one fits all to solution to every conflict or every solution. From my point of view, that they should be, if they come in a young age, if they are children, they come to young age, because in the size of their, the population size, they are the minorities. So that's why if they go through the education system, let's say in Sweden or some other country, if they go the same education system, same mentality, and then they should have the one main aim, to defend the country they are right now. Doesn't matter, because right now we have many minority people. They don't see that. They don't say that right now. It's interesting case actually. Right now we have many minorities, and I never seen or heard that they say that we represent this minority group, we defend our interests, we have the specific interest. They always defend. We have many Jewish people fighting for Azerbaijan in 1991, 1992. We have many Russians that lived in Baku, and then they defended interest of Azerbaijan. So I think it all depends on how you welcome them and how you deal with the conflict. And of course, I think those questions must be answered by those who have experience, in this the area, and also in the conflict when they see that if they arise such kind of conflict. But it's really good question. I think it's important that we should know the main principles. That imagine we have a country and then we try to build up from zero. How we should do that? And that's why I think the case of Azerbaijan, and because I think, as you Sergei mentioned, that Azerbaijan is not one of but the first Islamic country that we have the majority of people are Islamic, but we have churches, we have synagogues, people live in in peace, and we have never seen this conflict between these religious groups or ethnic group. So you're asking me solution. So now I get that you asking the solution. What is the solution? Do we have formula? Do we have formula that we could apply in all countries? And I think it's also subjective, because as you know, from my profession, I've worked in the anti-corruption field. I had education on anti-corruption. What I know that one thing that works in United States of America or in Europe doesn't mean that it will work for sure in Azerbaijan. So that's the same thing. If we could explore more on the case of Azerbaijan, but I'm not sure that the solution we have here might work in Syria or might work in the United States or somewhere else. But of course, it's a best experience that each country can learn something from each other. I hope I was able to answer the question. I think we had something.
Yeah, thank you. No, really, I appreciate it. Very nice.
Kamal, Vafra, I really like how this discussion is starting now. So I really would like to.
I like it. I like it. Now
exactly why we have been meeting here. Everybody has said his 5 minutes something, but now it's starting good discussion, and Vafra really has some really, really good and important points, because becoming multicultural in Europe is bringing a lot of conflicts to us, and that's conflicts where our society, who has been living here for centuries, is suffering now. So how do we find these answers? Yeah, we cannot just give tolerance and receive extremism. Yeah, so how do you build a multicultural society that is working with tolerance, where everybody is happy and content? And I really, really would love to continue talking to you guys, but I have to go to the parliament, and I have to speeches today. So I thank you very, very much. I have to go and leave, but I really think this is the point where we should continue talking, because that was...
Yes, that's what I'm saying. In future, we should do like, because as you say, I didn't know you before this conference or even the Wawrinek. I didn't know you, but you know, the dialogue started. So then we get to know each other, we start like each other. I think the same with the ethnic groups or the communities and everything. We should have a dialogue. When we have dialogue, you know, now this Zoom conference became interesting to me. Now it became interesting, and I am intrigued, you know, and because the Wawrinek is now the change, you know, they gifted like intrigued questions. So I also I get your point, Ulrich. I know that the Europe also faces this kind of problems that you said, extremist problems. So in order to have a solution for your answer or an answer for your question, I think in our country, to my knowledge, we have never experienced this kind of extremist. You know, we have, but the government and also religious groups kind of they handle this situation like successfully. And I think it would be better if we have some kind of case study, and somebody does a case study that because I might answer to your question, but it will not be profound. So in order to have your profound answer, and then you could also use this as a document, or you have something, because now we talk here, you go to your parliament, now I'm in my parliament room, and then I'm working, and then you will work, and then we go away, and then everything finished, and then whatever we discuss, it's just discussion. So in order this discussion has some kind of merit, so maybe in the end of this kind of discussion, we should have some paper, I don't know, that we should ask questions, because sometimes it's important that you ask important questions, you raise the important questions rather than have solutions, because it enables people to think. It encourages us to think, okay, you know, we say Azerbaijan is successful. Okay, what is the, success? How we define success, and what are indicators? What we should look at it on. So that's why I think I asked for moderator if we would have some kind of, I don't know, written document, one page, and then we could put there, you know, like some kind of questions or request, and then we can continue. And we can write each other, you know, we can write, and then we can discuss later on, and then through the documents, emails, you know, whenever we have time, we can start communication. And for me, as actually, from my point of view, this Zoom conference is also an initial contact point with you, because I have never known you, both of you, and I'm sure we will see each other somewhere else, but this is the beginning. So, and that's why I also want, you know, we can maybe circulate our emails, or some kind of, we get interaction, and, you know, we will get know each other, and then maybe we have next conference that, you know, we come with concrete, not this monologues, but more dialogue, more discussion.
Could I say a few words?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So from this discussion, very interesting points appeared, in my opinion. And what I would like to say that, in fact, lately Europe start to be afraid of tolerance and multiculturalism, because from one side we have this liberal agenda, which is depriving us from our ethnical and religious heritage, because liberals in general, they are saying that to have a tolerant society, we need to remove most of this heritage, because it creates conflicts, and put instead of this some at least at this moment, artificial values. I'm not saying they are good or bad, but they are definitely not natural, that they are not came together with our religious and ethnical heritage. And this brings a problem, because most of the people don't want to lose their heritage, their identity, their history, and so on. And on the other side, we have ghettos, we have religious extremism, and so on. Because of that, people are starting to be afraid of tolerance. And I think why Azerbaijan may be very interesting point and very important for Europe, because maybe it's not at this point an answer for our problems, but it brings hope that this is actually possible to solve this riddle. that we could, on one part, have this heritage, and on the other part, we could still be tolerant. We could have dialogue together, and we will not end up closed in the ghettos in name of the tolerance. And I think this hope is a very good starting point for another discussion and maybe developing this topic.
Thank you very much, dear Janusz. Dear colleague, I agree with Kamal Jafarov that it's very reasonably to continue such a discussion. And what we will do first, we will collect email and probably telephones, and we'll distribute from to everybody of such a list of everybody's contacts, so you can contact them yourself. It's first. Second, probably the issue is very important. We will continue to develop. Maybe we will take a little bit different approach, but generally the issue will be, I think, the same. It's experience of the different countries, including Azerbaijan, how to build a tolerant society in the modern world. And of course, Janusz very also smartly told that on one hand, liberals want to destroy any difference between different cultures and religions, and one on the other hand, those conservative want to rebuild and to consolidate their religious and ethnical values, and as a result don't pay enough attention to the such kind of dialogue and compromise. And we will try to develop this issue. So see you soon. See you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Yeah.
All right, see you next time. Good luck.
Follow you, and we hope that we'll meet online very soon, and then also offline, and to share a cup of Azerbaijan tea and or a cup of wine. Thank you.
Yeah, we'd like to welcome you here when this pandemic is over.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. And Kamal, for you, especially for the English, excellent English.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.